All right, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Seven Figure Entrepreneur Podcast. Today with us, we have a sort of special guest. Just kidding. He is a very special guest. He is awesome. His name is Todd. Todd, what is up? We also got Tyler here too. I'm pointing to my screen because I can see them here, but everyone's here and it's going to be a good one. So Todd, want to say what's up?
Hey guys, what's happening? Gabe and Tyler, thank you so much for inviting me on the podcast. I'm pretty excited, man. I don't do too many of these things. I like to sit in the background and be a little more clandestine in my ventures.
That's too bad though, because you got some pretty cool stories, man. I feel like every time we hang out or we chat, it's just like you got really interesting shit going on. So
he also has great hockey humor.
Hockey humor. He does have that old boys club humor.
He does.
Well, I'm old, man. I'm old. I'm coming up like I'm on the second half of 40.
You're old and ripped, though.
Yeah, it's funny because he's like in better shape than both of us. Yeah. Actually, he's in better shape than most people that I know.
That's true.
Yeah, Tyler, have you seen his Todd Lee picture?
No.
we won't talk about that picture, but he's jacked and tanned, especially tanned right now. You look like you just came out of like a 4-week tanning bed session.
Can you imagine what that would feel like? Yeah. So I had the good fortune to travel last month for just about 3 weeks. We were down Dominican, which my first time there was amazing. And then my third trip back to Costa Rica for some surfing. And, that country is phenomenal and smoking hot. And the reality of it is only because of my transition into this lifestyle, to be honest. With the ability to work anywhere, traveling is this new experience for me because I didn't have that opportunity before.
So what did you do? Like, let's go back to that. I'm glad you touched on that. What did you kind of do before this? Like how, and like, what was the transition into the online world?
Oh man, this is such a bizarre story. So, to be honest, looking back through my life, and this is the beauty of your 40s, you have this, this body of work over a period of time that you can reflect back on and sort of look at critically. And I have to say, like throughout my life, I'd always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like without question, I've always wanted to run a business and be self-reliant. Ultimately, is what that boils down to. I'm a big proponent of self-reliance and autonomy. I like to be making my own decisions and responsible for the outcomes. So, just as a young man, I remember always drawing out these different inventions, and even went to the point of almost getting back in the days, you guys won't remember this because you're too young, but we used to, our first remotes were attached to the TV.
Oh yeah.
The big thing was wireless remotes, and nobody could find them, right? And I was like, what? Where's the remote? So what if a sticker beeped? You could just, and so there was the keys that beeped, and you clapped and they beeped. So we went through this whole process of figuring out how to dope the signal to change it to a whistle and try to put it in this very small sticker. Anyways, that's as far as I got with that. But,
thought that counts.
Yeah, had to start somewhere.
Yeah, through high school. And then as I got into college, as a 19-year-old, my girlfriend at the time we got pregnant. And so I transitioned away from that entrepreneurial mindset to I need to provide for my family. Mm-hmm. And so I really focused on public sector, which led me into the military for a few years. And then from there into policing, where I spent between the military and policing almost 20 years. Well, wow. Over 20 years. And I had a really, really good career in the police department. I was a dog handler, and then I was
that's cool.
the sergeant in charge of the K9 unit, and I also was in for U.S. People who are watching SWAT. We don't call it SWAT in Canada; we call it Tactical. And I retired out of my career completely as the tactical team leader in 2015. I left. So, but all through that time, I had this itch, this burning itch to start a business. And the real, with the interweb in 2000s, my house at the time had a swimming pool, and the no pool is complete without a margarita maker.
That's true.
It's scientifically proven.
Right? What's the point? I would just kick the water. Like, this is stupid. It's the worst. But, back then it was eBay. And so I'd go on eBay, and the only things you could get were these $3,000, like 4-pull machines. You needed the mix. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way. So my brother and I figured out a way to turn a garburator and those big McDonald's 5-gallon, where that orange drink,
yeah,
whatever that orange drink was. So we figured out a way to turn that into a margarita. Incidentally, carburetors make the perfect ice for margaritas. The consistency is perfect.
Interesting.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Knew? How did you get to that point of finding that out?
Just like, you're like, what grinds things? And so we built this margarita maker, which is now you can find it online everywhere. It's called the Redneck Margarita Maker or whatever.
I love it.
That's what it's called?
Totally. So we photographed the whole thing. We photographed the whole process. I made these plans like a PDF back in the day, and I put them up on eBay for $5 a pop.
Yeah.
And, in that summer, not only did I have this margarita maker that was just comical, we made $3,000.
Wow.
Major light ping.
Yeah.
Ping. I'm like,
3,000 US too, I bet.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And then
the real
of course, as always happens, somebody realizes, hey, that guy's making money. And I don't know how you would accomplish this, but he just basically overtook my account and said he was me, and I had to go through this whole process with eBay. So I just said, screw it, put him up for free.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to think of something else. And that's when I married my passion for fitness with this whole info product type situation. I had to get permission from my police department to run a secondary business. Took care of that. They were happy to have it. And so we ran that for 8 years, along with a little jiu-jitsu site called Submissions 101 on YouTube, which was the brainchild of a friend of mine, Ari Nazan. And suddenly we had 150,000 subscribers, millions of views. We had little product line rolling out of there, and the fitness stuff was just kind of, fits and starts. And then I got some coaching and involved in a mastermind group. And in 2014, I met my business partner. In 2015, we launched the Alpha program. And in the first month, I think it did about 600K. And
wow. That's a good month.
Were you just like over the top? Like, cause
I'm like,
you've probably never seen money like that at that point, right?
No, dude, I grew up poor. I grew up poor, man. Like, I'm serious. When I was a kid, we would have mushroom soup over pork chops on toast without the pork chop.
I had that without the pork chop.
So that's just soup on toast.
I have absolutely banned mushroom soup in my house. It's not. If I smell it, something happens in my brain. I swear.
Yeah.
I used to love that shit, but I haven't.
I know. I remember that. That brings me back, actually. That over rice. Mushroom rice.
That's
Do you
like
ever
something
have that?
like Grandpa would make.
Yeah, totally. Well, my mom grew up
And
on
onions.
farm, like they were poor, and then we were poor, and then my brother and I kind of took it upon ourselves to make sure we weren't going to end up that way. And nothing against my parents. They worked their asses off to give us everything, but it was just a different time. And then we, having got the right coaching and in around the right people with the right mindset, and none of these guys have fear of making money. They're like, this is what we do. Mm-hmm. And so we hit the 600K mark, and it was going to be on its way to 7 figures. And then the police department was like, hey, wait a minute. Yeah. They wrote me a nice little letter that you didn't ask to, this was supposed to be a hobby. You didn't ask to do this. And I said, yes, I did. And here's the letter that was dated in 2007. So we went to blows. They went on a bit of a smear campaign, threw my name in the press, released emails. It was like amazing,
That's sad.
Yeah, it was to get it shut down. Ultimately, the marketing, the angle that we took was super aggressive for men only. Mm-hmm. And to boost testosterone and get guys healthy and fit, so they started feeling like themselves again. I mean, I could go on for months and months about what's happening with men's health and just an onslaught of chemicals in a variety of different things that are reducing guys' testosterone. Ultimately, the underpinning of that video sales letter and the department, they just didn't like it. Yeah. And they asked me to take it down. I said, I'm not going to. And that's, we had a bit of a court battle. I spent $15,000, which, unsubstantiated all of their allegations, which was ultimately my goal. But I'd made the decision that it was time for me to stop being a pansy and get out there.
Make the shift.
You were still working with the department at that time?
Yep.
Oh, crazy.
Dude, my wife is still on the job.
Oh, wow.
At the same department.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
She's 25 years on the job, and they're kind enough, I suspect, to really separate us as one entity into two entities, and we dealt with it, and she was left out of it, which is on some level professional, but she is a professional, and
that's how it should be. Yeah.
It was just one of these things. All they had to do was stand up and say, you know what, this guy is a decorated officer with a history of top service. Instead, they took the other route to bully me into taking it down and let things shake out in the press. You know how the press is. They're a marketing company, right?
Yeah, they need something to write about.
Yeah, there was chiefs making out with subordinates and all this other stuff going on at the time, but it just wasn't a good enough story. That ran the next month. Oh, it's such a crazy.
I'm sure was this all in Victoria as well? Yeah. So I'm sure the small town factor didn't exactly help you either.
Oh yeah, it was front page for 4 days, I guess. And
wow.
Yeah. So I pulled the pin September 2015, and I've been living what I would describe as my actual truth since then. I loved the job, loved the people for the most part. They do amazing work. A lot of these guys put their lives on the line. Each and every day they're willing to take that risk, and they have my gratitude for that. Administratively and politically, which is what happens at the top level, they feel like they have a responsibility, and sometimes that gets in the way of reality, and it's their own perceptions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's get on to talking about making money.
Well, long story short, you got out and haven't looked back.
Not for a second. I work out of my house now. I travel when I want to travel. I help my kids pay for their education. All of those things that that I probably wouldn't have been able to do on a police officer's wage, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not bad money, but
yeah,
you
it's
know,
not internet money.
7 figures.
No.
Yeah.
You know.
It's not
So talk about your business now. Do you want to
Yeah.
explain Alpha Nation and what you kind of do?
Yeah, so we started out in the fitness side of things because that's my passion, and it's all men's interest, and we run kind of fitness products that either are body weight, weighted, nutrition, sort of the entire gamut of or array of products, and all of that leads into a central membership site, which is called Alpha Nation. And inside Alpha Nation, we are focused on everything from, you know, hunting skills, navigational skills, self-defense skills, additional health and nutrition skills, how to dress, you know, all men's interest stuff, right? Like it's a men's site, and that's what I wanted. I wanted guys to have a place they're like, ooh, you know, should I be wearing these shoes at this time?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And some guys don't care about that, but they like the shooting stuff, or they like, you know, just a broad range of men's interests. There's interviews in there with top fitness models. Gabe, one of them you actually know, Kyla Gagnon, did a nice interview for us about, you know, the reality is you can go up and talk to these girls just like any other human being.
Yeah.
It's confidence stuff. It's building, you know, your physique and your mental, you know, your mental process, mental strength, all of that kind of stuff. So from the fitness side, I saw an opportunity to introduce martial arts into that. So we developed a few products that are really focused on guys who either don't have the resources to get to a gym or can't afford to go to a gym, but they still want to learn some of those skills that, you know, I use personally in the street. Like guys have this idea that, you know, the special forces guys get a ton of training. They're so busy, so tapped. They don't have time to be spending hours a week in a gym unless they do it on their own, right?
Yeah.
Unless they have that ability to do it on their own time. So just the general training that guys do, you know, from receiving it from the departments is very, very small. So we took that stuff, packaged it up into these, you know, very brief lessons, 17 moves kind of thing. And yeah, we turned that out, and that's another channel into Alpha Nation. And then, you know, we just did another one.
Is that how your business works? Like you have all these different funnels and channels that all push people to Alpha Nation?
Everything.
And then Alpha Nation essentially is like a monthly subscription site?
Correct. Yeah.
Awesome.
We run that. So all channels lead back to membership, and in terms of a business model for people who are looking to establish businesses, continuity programs, membership programs really give your business some income predictability. You know, it allows you to sort of branch out into other areas, test other areas, because you've got that income continuity, that predictability, where if you're just throwing these one-off products up all the time, you know, with, you know, nothing to sustain it over a prolonged period, you start to run this really elevated, you know, peaks and valleys type business model. And it's very difficult to sustain because you're on top of it and it's like, oh, Jesus, on Tuesday it stopped working.
Yeah.
You know, and now what, you know? So, so we figured that out back kind of 2016 that we wanted to run that model and keep that.
I think that's good advice, man. Just having that subscription, like people paying 20, 30, 50 bucks a month, whatever it is. Yeah. And even I think, you know, the average life cycle of a person is what, usually 3-4 months?
Yeah. So we track everything religiously. We're at a 119-day stick rate.
Nice.
We know the take rate is through every funnel. It varies between 20 and 30%. And I think what's important for people to understand is, A, this is a business, so you need to know your numbers, and B, understand the life cycle of that, any one system that you have in place. So if funnel A kind of has a 25% take rate on membership, and over 6 month period we make this much, kind of lets you know what your acquisition cost is, or what you can afford to spend on finding a customer, right?
Yeah, it's really interesting that you talk about that, man. I was talking to a guy like really high up in a like, they do like financial stuff, like how to invest in the stock market.
Yeah.
And one of their divisions, man, they're telling me their growth was just retarded. Like one year, the first year was like 30 million. Year two was 70 million. Year three was 130 million. And he said the reason they can grow like that is because they'll pay out like $100 for a $5 sale.
That sounds like Agora's business model.
Yeah, exactly. But because they know what that client's worth, and that's the one thing on e-com when people are selling stuff off AliExpress for $5-6 or whatever, $10, $20. That's not a bad thing. Yeah. But I like what you're saying, where there has to be some sort of back end there. Yeah. You can get that, some sort of subscription, some sort of predictability in your income to like basically flat level the peaks and valleys of things.
Yeah. So really those systems, there's two levels I would categorize the back end, and whether people are just beginning or they're advanced in building these funnels and their sales processes. You have continuity and you have email marketing. Those are your 2 points of leverage to turn that entire system into knowing exactly what those dollars are, dollars in, dollars out, what that time period is, so you can circle it all back to that front end ability to acquire a customer. Because as you run those numbers out, he who has the highest or the most ability to spend on a customer wins.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
We hear that over and over again too from every big guy in the industry,
Yeah. Yeah. It truly is. Like Agora on a $37 product for some ebook for active shooter will pay somebody promoting it $100.
Yeah. For a $37 sale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess the lesson in that is kind of twofold. It is ensure you've got continuity in place, or you understand how to email market, and B, know the life cycle of that system, right? Like it is systems. It is systems, all of it.
No, that's cool. I think that's good advice. What about like, cause if I'm sitting here listening to this podcast and someone says, pay $20 pay $100 for a $37 sale. Like obviously you don't start there, right?
No,
that's something you build up to.
Yeah. So somebody new into it. I mean, when you're first beginning in business, there's a couple points of action that you need to take. You have to have something to sell. You have to decide what it is that you're going to sell, whether it's a physical e-com style business product, or it's an info product that you're passionate about and that you want to create. You can do, so what we're talking about is paid traffic. There's also affiliate traffic, and there's lots of platforms that are available, i.e. ClickBank. I think ClickFunnels is building some affiliate functionality into.
Oh, that's smart of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Like.
Yeah.
Super. Russell's no dummy.
No, he's not.
He's not, man.
So, like you can build a good product that you believe in, that you can sell easily enough by finding other people to promote it, and there's a couple of different ways to do that, right? So you find some people to promote it, or like I'm always a fan of, and Gabe knows this, I'm always a fan of like mastering something, like master what
whatever, like Gabe is a killer at Facebook ads.
Yeah.
And I would say, if anything, I feel like you're really good at like building out products and funnels and then finding people who have the traffic.
That's the thing. Like there's a couple of learning processes that I went through. I mean, I was, especially back in 2007, 2008, I was like, oh, build it and they will come. Well, no, it won't.
Yeah.
So, great movie, by the way. Great movie.
Yeah, it is. Super good movie. So then I had to start to understand the two ways of acquiring traffic. And one is, like you mentioned, paid, and the other is affiliate. And so if you're really good at building products, then you focus on building good products that other people can sell, and you give them a good portion of that, whether it's 90% or 100% of that sale, to acquire that new customer. And then that's building up an email list for you that you can then market other people's products to. So, I mean, you want to stay in your wheelhouse, and for me to go out and learn to run traffic the way a guy like Gabe does, guy like Brian does, man, that would take me 2 years. I would rather just make the deal with somebody and say, listen, I'd rather have 10% of $1 million than 100% of nothing.
Yeah.
Like
that's a great way to put it.
Shark Tank, Dragon's Den 101, right?
Like, yeah, totally.
It was funny too. I was talking to Brian this weekend, and he's like, I don't even know if I want to work on, like, he was building out an offer too, and he's just like, this is just so easy. I get to just push Todd's offer, and then I make all this money on the back end too, and everyone's happy.
Yeah, so that's a really unique relationship, and that's one of the things that I've tried to.
Sorry, I didn't want to give away like the secrets or anything. But,
no, it's good. There's no secret there, man. I encourage everybody to like, if I can find those guys and offer them, say, listen, like, this is kind of the dollar value. Can you make it work for this? Here's the numbers that we will achieve in 3, 6, 9 months. Are you interested in $250,000 a month?
Yes or yes.
So guys are like, yeah, that's been our differentiation, where people kind of build these products. Like, you'll see these guys that build a product for affiliates, and they just, they're kind of one-off, and they feel it'll run the product until, it just burns out. And it's on every site, and then the guy's site goes down because it just gets terrible because of the type of traffic and refunds and chargebacks and all this kind of stuff, where we've been very thoughtful in our approach. I've just tried to build relationships, and it goes back to what I did in Tactical. I was not the smart, as a team leader, guys, everybody's like, oh, he's going to be the most badass. That wasn't me. I just had a firearms guy who was probably one of the most badass firearms instructors I've ever met. Like, he could teach, somebody with no fingers how to shoot a gun. Like, he just was that good. And then my sniper team leader, like, I know a little bit about sniping. That guy knows everything about sniping. And so I wouldn't sit there and say, hey, I want you guys to do this. I'm like, Colin, run the snipers, right? Yeah. And then, my bomber, I know how to blow a few things up, but I'm not setting the charge, and I can make an entry after a door goes in, but I get the best guys at what they do, and I build that team. And that's been my focus, and that's been the underpinning for success in this business. And the internet moves quick, so you need people who are A players in those positions, and you compensate them accordingly, right? Like, it's a good relationship, and when you can make things easy for people, these guys that are listening today that are they want to run that affiliate track. When you are building out your product and you want to get people to promote it, you make it as easy as possible for them to promote it. So you give them all of the emails that they might need to send. You bump their commission so that they are interested in, because again, one of the things that I didn't understand when I first came into the space was I thought I was just like, a fitness guy. No, this is a business. It is a business. People want to make money, right?
Yep.
It's important to understand that. So
yeah, man. And I think there's a lot of good wisdom in what you're saying overall, man. Like, again, if you were to go out there and try to hire Brian, for example, how he's not going to do it. No. There's probably no amount of money unless it's you'd probably have to pay Brian to hire him $1 million a year.
Yeah, you just can't do that.
And then you'd have to pay for all the traffic and stuff like that.
Totally.
The way you got him now, it's
just to give you guys a little bit of a backstory, Brian's the first person we interviewed on this podcast. So just we're not talking about some random dude
mystical Brian.
There's reference here.
Yeah.
Brian's unicorn.
Yeah.
He's a unicorn.
Yeah.
But no, Brian's badass at traffic. And so Todd's basically made an arrangement with him where hey, we'll give you a heavy commission on the front end. We'll share on, and then we'll do a share on the back end, which most affiliates don't see. And honestly, one big thing that happened in the affiliate industry, and I'm going to talk about the black hat industry, which we don't do black hat, but we have a lot of friends that are. Basically, the trial industry got smoked pretty hard. Mm-hmm. And now all these guys have great traffic skills. But because they never had back-end reoccurring income, they're kind of well, fuck, what do I do now?
Yeah, totally.
But I think arrangements like this, man, where get them focused on what they're good at, you do it, focus on what you're good at, make the marriage between the two, you have a winning formula there.
Yeah. So, like you say, it's not only, so we give Brian 100% through that funnel. And so
on the front end.
On the front end and 90% through the back end. And the only reason I don't give him, and I'll talk about two back ends. So I always separate out membership and email from kind of the funnel because those are the recurring pieces. But on upsell 1, upsell 2, upsell 3, or however those are positioned, I give him 90%. And the only reason I only give him 90 as opposed to 100 is just to cover some of the admin costs that are associated with, setting up split testing and all that kind of stuff that I have my operations guy do. So he, but he gets 100% on the front end. So if he can scale it and he makes, 3,000-4,000 profit in a day, I don't care. That's his skill. That's good for him. I'm still getting, those 30, 40, 50 people a day into recurring income, plus the lifestyle that I have them on that email list, and I'm happy to share it. And that's kind of a paradigm shift in the industry. People aren't doing that. And I'm on the hunt for relationships because, I feel like we have we're very ethical. We my word means something. And so people are prepared to do business with us. And, although I'm relatively new in the industry full-time, I've been around it long enough and we understand the business. But like you say, Tyler, it's, here's all these guys just scratching, to run traffic and they can't find anything because they can't build any continuity. So,
yeah.
But
no, it makes sense, man.
Yeah, it's good. And that is, what people, when we go to places where we were at TNC, that traffic and conversions by and large is for new people in the space. There's a few good seminars here and there. And if you're new in the space, it's worth it to go to. But for us, that was about reconnecting and pressing flesh with guys that have either talked about sending for us or sent in the past and just getting eyes on. And that's one of the things that this industry doesn't have a ton of is those opportunities to really get out and have a coffee with a guy or, some really good French fries. Hey, Gabe.
That's why we went, right? It's just we didn't go to any of the talks.
Went for the French fries.
We went for the French fries and the sun. I guess you don't done Tyler, but Todd and I do. Well, not Todd anymore, but
I know.
Dude,
I feel like in this color quadrant right now, Todd is obviously the darkest. I live in Florida, but I'm a little darker than Gabe. But it could be the lighting. It could be the lighting.
I think it's the lighting. Actually, no. We've had like 3 days of sun here, so
yeah. I did go golfing last week too.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I go to those things just to say hi to people, because you don't get that opportunity that often. And that, when we talk about getting somebody to promote, that is why they will pick you over. They'll be like, you know what? I totally remember that guy buying me a beer. You know,
yeah.
That was thoughtful. Like, you don't run into these places and be super douchey. And it's like, hey man, like I'm building this really awesome product. You want to promote it? That is the fastest way to shut down a conversation. Right? Just casually slide them a beer and say, hey, you know, and if a conversation starts, great. If it doesn't, don't push it.
Yeah.
So if anyone listening,
subtle art of seduction by Todd.
Yeah. If anyone listening is badass at traffic, hit up Todd.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Actually, I was thinking I might have a referral for you for a buddy I met with earlier this week who's looking for like exclusive stuff like this. So we'll have to follow up after about that.
Yeah, that'll be cool. How are we doing for time?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, we just kind of just talked, but I think we're doing well. I did have a couple questions I wanted to get to, if you're good with that.
Absolutely. I don't want to not make sure we miss.
Don't worry about it, man. Like this is a pretty slack podcast.
Yeah. No, this is where the good stuff comes out, though. Todd's basically telling you like how to set up a business. And again, like, I really like how you tell people to focus on their strengths.
Yeah.
That's something that I've even I've been in this, I don't even know how long, 10 years or 9 years or a long ass time.
Yeah.
I forget that.
Shiny pennies, man.
Yeah. There's almost, and me and Gabe talk about this, too many ways to make money.
Yeah.
And you can't do them all. There's too many ways. Yeah. So it's like, that's one thing we've made a point of this year, is just focusing on what we're really good at and then building upon and scaling that, because that's where we have our edge. Like I had a friend of mine, email's my thing. I had a friend of mine, he had a 30-day, basically I helped him with his email funnels on Ecom. 30 days before, like just him doing his thing on his own, he did like $8,000. And I went in and I tweaked a bunch of his stuff and add some more funnels and stuff like that. The next 30 days, he did $35,000.
Yeah, right.
It's a big difference, you know? And it was like the same business. Yeah. And now he's going and turning on his ad sets that were break-even-ish before, because he knows to pour more money on stuff like that. But that's been a big shift even for us. Like at the end of last year was just focusing on what we really know really well and just doing that. Because it's so easy to chase stuff and lose 100, like,
with big profit margins too. That's another key. Big profit margins.
Yep. That's another thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's easy to lose, $250,000 chasing something because you believe in it.
Sure.
But you're not really good at it, you know?
Yeah. So, everybody's guilty of that. I've been sucked into, hey, like, what, you see what these guys are doing? And because the danger there is, is that everybody wants it yesterday. Yeah. And, we all want to, there were kind of the glory days. I would suggest, in particular, in light of the most recent Facebook stuff, those days have come and gone. So the need to really stay focused and run in your lane, stay in your lane is more critical now than it's ever been. And so, when you hear about something, take a moment to actually reflect and say, hey, is that something that I actually want to do long term? Because, it is a long-term gain, and anybody kind of in the space has heard of or listens to Gary Vee, and he is very accurate and true when he says, be patient, because it will, despite some early success, I've experienced that lull, and I just stayed in my lane. I developed more stuff that I thought was in line with what our core goals as a company were, and that's to serve men and make sure that guys are being looked after across a broad range. So we we developed, instead of just staying fitness, we went into to fighting, and now we've gone into shooting. All of those things that are I've done and mastered. We just push them online, and again, but like you say, to really stay focused. I can't go and learn how to run ads, and it just, my brain doesn't work that way, right? Like,
yeah. Nor do you want to, right?
Yeah. So anyway, but I mean, the other things, I guess. Well, let's make sure we're getting the questions, because
I was gonna say, man, for someone just starting out, what would your best advice be for someone looking to go online, go on the interwebs full time?
Yeah. So that really is a two-part answer. The first is you have to overcome fear, and there's so many millionaires out there that are just making $20, $15 an hour because they are locked in fear. They're like, I don't want to put myself out there, and sometimes it doesn't come, the success doesn't come the way you think it is. I thought I would be running my fitness company, everybody would love it, and the world would be a happy place. I'd retire, as a policeman when I finished 20 years. That was kind of the goal. Mm-hmm. And shit happened 3 years early. But it was because I took that leap. I'd never really wanted to be the face of a product. I was not wired that way. But, when my business partner said, I think we can make this something big, I had to overcome that fear. And I'm talking that fear, like I was losing sleep at night. And then when I made that leap in 2015, like, you guys have to understand, whoever's listening, I was making $135,000 a year as a sergeant in charge of a tactical team, transferring into a canine team as the sergeant there. My life was good. In terms of jobs in policing, you just don't get better jobs than that. And I also had a pension that I would receive, $5,000 a month for the rest of my life, as long as I was alive. Mm-hmm. And when it came time to really make the decision to walk from that, those are some sleepless nights. So, fear, man, that is when you can overcome that. And the process for doing that is to simply identify why it is you want to do what you want to do. And you really have to live your truth. If I went to my pine box and I'd never run a business, my life would not have been fulfilled. And it's that simple. So guys that sit in fear, guys that go to jobs that they fucking hate, that make them miserable, that make them come home and be, nasty to their wife, grumpy with their kids, get over yourself. If you want to do something different, do it. Right. And then, the second part of that question is, be really, like, I guess it's just around the product side, or understanding what it is that you want to do, and staying, like, not chasing, which we already covered, stay on your,
focus what you want to do, and
stay
on the path.
Yeah. Skills wise, I would say, if there was one thing that I would focus on, in addition to product development, would be copywriting. I wouldn't waste time. Too many people get too far off into the weeds, learning to write HTML code, how to put an Aweber sign up list on their website. Hire somebody to do that. It's, you do your top 5%, but don't get off into the weeds. There's a couple of things that can really turn the tide. Sales, and again, this is all about sales, in my opinion. Sales, we're all salesmen ultimately, and You know, you can make a sale and you can talk sales, but marketing, when you've got a good marketing team or a good, you know, something hits and your marketing team has developed that, like when Alpha hit, that is unbelievable. And at the center of the business that I'm in anyways, which is direct response, which means, you know, I want somebody to take action, and by the time they're finished reading that page, copywriting and those skills, that to me is the primary skill set in terms of, you know, peripheral to your primary, you know, product development. So.
Yeah. I think people don't realize how important copy is. Like a beginner person anyway. Like I realize it. Tyler, I'm sure you realize it too.
Yeah.
And Todd, you definitely do, because I've read your stuff, man. It's good. People just think like, oh, it's just words. Like it'll be fine. You know, I'll just say this and it's good. But yeah, there's a lot that goes into quality copyright that gives you the hard sell. So that is that's strong advice there for sure.
Yeah, it's very formulaic. It's very it's emotional driven, and anybody who's in the space in direct response, anyways, understands the ability to, or the need to be able to tell a story. And that's all our stuff is. You know, this next iteration of Alpha that's coming out really focuses on this story of the police department trying to keep it down and eliminate it, right? And what was their motivation behind it? But that's storytelling, and that makes that emotional connection. Marketing is, in this day and age, you've got a fraction of a second to be interesting.
Yeah.
You're not interesting, people will just go to Amazon and then be like, awesome, I just get Prime delivery on, you know, like you want to be interesting. You want to be telling stories. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any useful resources you like would direct people to?
Yeah, man. So I would consider John Carlton, one of the premier direct response copywriters. And he offers a really accessible course, which I went through, loved it. And he's got kind of his proteges that, you know, will kind of, and he'll even pop in and sort of critique your stuff. Then there's a guy called Kevin Rogers, who is a graduate of
I've heard of that guy before, actually.
Yeah, Kevin's, if I'm not mistaken, he might be out in Florida.
Oh, really? You have more reasons to come down here, man.
Dude, I love Florida. But he runs a site called Copy Chief, and he's a comedian by trade, but he's also a very, very talented copywriter who educates. You know,
nice.
And they will teach you how to develop hooks and teach you how to write benefits and teach you how to write bullet points properly. Like, too many people don't understand the actual crafting of these messages. So so those are primarily the two that I've used, and then there's a number of different books. I think I've sent a few around. I just don't have them top of mind, to be honest. So
cool, man. No, I think that's useful. And again, I would say, like, you're a product guy, so obviously copy totally makes sense to really figure that skill out and get that nailed down.
Yeah.
Because if you get the traffic guys running traffic to your stuff and it's not converting, those traffic guys are not going to stick around. They're going to be gone.
Yeah, and I've experienced it, unfortunately. And you don't always hit a winner, and you know. But the only guys, to be honest, in my opinion, that fail at this business are the guys that quit.
Yeah, I'd agree, man.
Yeah.
I'm not the smartest guy in any room by any stretch, but I probably should have been given the ability to quit. I just don't know how. Right? I just am like,
get up and do it again.
Oh yeah, just brick wall, and finally you'll get that break, and it'll all happen. But you know,
you know that kind of belief, man, and it. I don't know if it's a spiritual thing. I don't really think it is, but I feel like they make you really. I think they really test you. Like, I feel like you get hit over and over and over again. And if you can finally, like, be like, you know what, I'm really not going to give up. Finally, like, okay, here's the pot of gold, you know?
Yeah, right.
Like you've now earned it.
Yeah. It's just a testament to your character, really, and strength of character, and whether, you know, I thrive on people who say like, well, most people don't even know what I do now. Like they just,
they probably think you sell drugs, right?
I don't know. They're like, so what this, anyways, I love people that, you know, say you can't do something. I was told I'd never be a cop. I remember that, you know, going over, you know, I was too short. I was, you know, just not the right age. I was this, that, and the other thing. And I just like keep hitting the wall. And it breaks. And I had, you know, an extraordinarily enjoyable career. And then same with, you know, with the internet business, when I put up my first site, which I still pay the hosting on just as a reminder, right? I'm like, I think people will like to watch videos when they exercise. And that was way back when, you know, video codecs were all messed up and there was no real way you had to upload video via FTP, and like, it was just crazy.
Really dating yourself here.
Right? Like,
I don't even think I remember that time, man.
I know. I was trying to think. I'm like, what do you mean FTP?
It's so good, man. Like I worked day and night. Like I would come home from a day on the job and I was still on call. We're, you know, with our team, we're on call 24/7. And so, I would just be like, my eyes bleeding till like 1 a.m, figuring all this stuff out.
Yeah.
So easy to get started now compared to
oh yeah.
Oh man, the tools and stuff that are out there nowadays.
Yeah, ClickFunnels, Shopify. Everything.
Oh yeah, any ESP integrating your, like, it's so easy. And like, again, like you said, like technically I'm an idiot, and Gabe can definitely attest to that.
I'm an idiot sometimes too. It's good.
Yeah, but at least, like, I don't even know how to use Photoshop. Well, and I never plan to learn, but you can hire people on Upwork for a very low sum of money to do that for you. And even like some of our customer service, like Gabe's girlfriend's done such a great job. Like, you know, they're frequently asked questions and stuff like that. You know, we'll pay $250 an hour to have someone work, you know, do all that customer service stores. Yeah, excited, man. And like, for them to get that type of opportunity, it's a big deal.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, like, my developer is in Bangladesh. He's been with me now, man, I bet you 7 years, you know, and he's got a baby now, you know, he's part of our family. You know, like these are the opportunities that I'm actually grateful to provide. My daughter works on my customer service team and has worked throughout her entire school, right? Like she went back to school for 2 years to do coding and that kind of stuff. So she got to work in the business, you know, the entire time. So I'm grateful, and they're grateful, and I hope she comes on as our project manager when she's done school. And
nice, that's cool.
That, you know,
creating opportunity for everyone around you.
Yeah, man, I love that. Right?
Yeah, so do I.
It's so satisfying, and even some of our people that we publish, like one of the guys that we publish, you know, we give him a pseudonym, John Black, because he's still active duty. They get paid shit. Like they get paid shit. Particularly guys in the military. And so, you know, the way our arrangement is, he gets a percentage of that entire funnel and membership. And you know, with Brian running traffic, I expect if we hit our numbers that, you know, that guy has the potential to make $60K a month.
Wow. That must be a huge change. How much does he make a year roughly?
I think he probably makes 80 a year.
Yeah. Wow. So like, that's a good chunk in 1 month.
Yeah. Even if he did half of that, he'd be over the moon.
Oh yeah.
He's like, I would just like my truck payment to be made. This is what I want to do. I want to blow it up so you make enough money to buy a truck a month if you want to, because
yeah.
You know, I have deep gratitude to people who go into these, you know, who serve and go into these hellholes of the world for next to nothing to provide a service. And politics aside, I don't care, man. This is about people, and you know, when they go and do that job, you know, they put their lives at risk, and they're not compensated well for that, but they have amazing skill sets, and they are amazingly loyal people, and they're great to work with. And you know, we've been friends now for 10 years. Back when he first did our basic SWAT course with me in 2005, we just kept working together. So I hope that we can blow it up for his sake. You know, and same with the guy that we do First Strike with. You know, his wife, they had a great business, a school, you know, and his wife is diagnosed with a type of arthritis that is debilitating, and she's a yoga instructor and can't instruct anymore. So the money he makes from that makes up for her income, and so that is extraordinarily satisfying to me from a you know, I don't know if it's a philanthropic perspective or just a business perspective. I just love that. I love it.
I think it's just a matter, like, I can totally relate to that, man. Just being able to help people out.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I love it. It's been the biggest kind of side benefit of going out full time and after it, for sure. You know,
it is amazing, man. Like I actually had a conversation with a guy last night that I have some real estate with. And we have like some condos or whatever, and the rent, it's in Edmonton. The rents are like, I think they're like $900 to $1,200 a month, depending how many units. And anyways, we Airbnb'd one, right?
Yeah.
And last month, I think it made like, so we generally make like $800 to $1,100. I think last month it made like $2,600.
Yeah.
Airbnb, like more than double. Yeah. I'm like, how can I make a hotel now? You know what I mean? That's how I'm thinking. But, I'm like, dude, this is freaking awesome. I'm like, you know, we just made all this more money. Well, he's like, well, keep in mind, he's like, we have this guy that manages this for us. I'm like, oh, how does that work? Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what happens is he's like, we get the first 1,100, he gets the next 100, and then we split the difference.
Yeah.
So, you know, that means 1,200 is, you know, separate. And then the difference of 1,400, we split, but I'm still getting 1,800, and he doesn't own the property.
Yeah.
He like, all he does is maintain and put on Airbnb, but this opportunity would not have existed without the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fantastic.
He's like basically controls our real estate without even freaking owning it. And we're excited to pay him because he's making us more rent than we'd ever make on our own.
Oh, that's great.
It's like the internet's like an amazing thing, man. And the opportunities are endless. It's just a matter of like, you know, getting involved.
Doing it, getting out there.
Yeah.
Get started. Like, you know, one of the guys, there's a couple things that I would say to somebody. If you have the opportunity and you feel it in your gut and you feel like you're meant to do these powerful things, do it. Don't say no to coaching. Don't when you see somebody that's in the space and they've had success and they're offering coaching, take it. Don't be a nickel squisher like I was. Like, I had an opportunity, and really this life is a tale of two paths. I had an opportunity in 2008 to attend a mastermind. Every one of those guys was a millionaire 2 years later, and I was still punching it out on night shifts, you know?
Yeah.
Like, first of all, I was scared, straight up. I was. And, you know, and ultimately I just didn't want to part with that $5,000. That would have been a nickel deal. I'd have made that like within minutes, but I was just so scared. But that's, you know, I'm a product of farm kids, you know, who are like, tuck your money away and that kind of thing.
I feel like we all have that from some level. Like, I don't think any of us grew up with a lot of money, and it's just like, save. Don't make more, just save more.
Yeah, which is true. It's not what you make, it's what you keep.
Yeah.
Right? But don't be afraid to get started. And if you have the opportunity to take coaching, take it because it just shortcuts everything. You know, for sure.
Makes sense.
Cool. I think that's good. Like, I think,
yeah, man, I think that's a good wrap right there.
Yeah. I think we're at the right time too. We might be a little bit short, but I mean, the information was great.
Yeah, honestly. You know what's cool too, man? It's a different perspective than we've had on here before, in I think a lot of respects.
Yeah.
And that's one thing we really want to do with this podcast is for people to hear from guys like you who are doing it every day, how you do it. Not like necessarily, like, I agree with you. Like, I pay for courses, like go to events, I do that stuff. But there's a lot of guys that, you know, that are out there that shouldn't be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So with that said, what this whole thing was built upon was real guys actually doing it and hearing about how they do it. Like, because everyone does their shit a little bit differently. There's no one magic perfect way. Yeah. So I think this is a good fresh take on it, man. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. I don't get to talk that often. I'm going to do a speaking gig this fall down in Arizona.
Nice.
I'm excited about at an event, but other than that, I'm pretty buttoned up here at home, just running my track, man.
You'd make a good speaker, man. You got a good, like, every time we hang out too, I just kind of listen because you always got good shit to say. So
well, thanks.
No problem.
I'm quiet, but
so if you want anyone to get in touch with you to run any of your offers, if they're guys that are looking to do some big numbers, what's the best way to do it? Or should they include an email or something, or?
Yeah, they can fire me an email, I guess, at specforcealpha@gmail.com.
Okay.
If there's some big traffic guys out there, and
you never know.
Totally.
Yeah. No, we get hit up from people like, there's, you know, some guys making 30 million a year and they hit me up. They're like, dude, great podcast. I'm like, whoa, you make way more money than me. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You know,
it's actually surprising to the people that listen to this. And I'm sure there's like a lot of closet listeners that like we don't know about, but like, sometimes you're just like, oh shit, you listen to us, bro? Like, that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, even like the randomness of it, I can tell you the randomness of connecting with Brian was through my banker who actually fucked up my mortgage and cost me an extra $70K. But
that's a big fuck up.
It was huge. So I had to pull more money out of the whole code, pay tax, But he's like, I know this guy named Brian. Ultimately, that $70K loss should be exponentially raised.
Absolutely. That's a good way to look at things too, man. Like the benefit of doing stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
All right. Side story. Yeah.
Awesome.
No worries.
Thanks, you guys.
What about your site? You want to mention it real quick so people can kind of check it out?
Oh yeah. So our main site is at alphanation.com. That's where all the products are and all that good stuff.
You can check out what he's doing. You can see it for yourself.
Steal his shit.
Yeah.
Good luck.
So let's just wrap this up here, guys. If you like this video, like it below, subscribe, all that jazz. If you're watching it on YouTube, and if you're on iTunes, give us a review, give us a like, you know,
show the love. And by the way, do you see that on over Gabe's shoulder right there, the logo?
Woo!
He did a good job. I just want to say that is not Michael Vick. That is seven-figure entrepreneur. I was wearing the sweater, went to a restaurant. Someone said, was that a Michael Vick sweater? I'm like, hell no.
You know what?
For our podcast.
Our logos are so similar, and I had no idea when I designed it.
I know. I remember when I told you that story, you're like, who's Michael Vick? I'm like,
I don't want to know. I don't watch football. But I would also like to point out that we don't have a dog fighting ring. We're actually
that's true.
People, and so that's
we love dogs.
Our logo.
Yes, we do.
Not his. Yes, we love dogs.
Awesome.
We're gonna get sued in no time.
I know, right? That probably wasn't good. Either way, man, Todd, thank you so much. Gabe, thank you as always. And show us a little 7 Fig love and send your questions in. You'll hear from us soon.
Later.
Cheers.
Later.